Good evening, friends. What if I told you that you don't need to chase, plead, or even speak to someone in order to be united with the love of your life? What if the greatest power to attract your dream marriage has been sitting quietly within you all along? That's exactly what happened to me. I attracted the woman I once thought was out of my reach without uttering a single word to her. You see, there is a truth most people ignore. Your inner world creates your outer experience. Not the other way around. I didn't send a message. I didn't ask for attention. I didn't try to impress her. I simply went within and built the marriage in my imagination before it ever appeared in Shah's world. I began every day by closing my eyes and feeling what it would be like to wake up beside the woman who inspired my soul. I heard her laughter in my heart. I felt her hand in mine as if it was already happening. I walked as if I was already a husband, confident, grounded, and chosen. I refused to be moved by appearances. Even when she didn't know my name, I already knew we were one in a deeper realm. Every single evening I imagined sitting across the dinner table from her. I didn't imagine the chase. I imagined the completion. I imagined the gratitude. I imagined her smile, her voice, her presence. And more than anything, I lived in the end, not in the hoping, not in the wishing, but in the knowing that it was already done. Did I doubt? Yes, I'm human. But each time fear whispered, "She doesn't know you," I silenced it with, "She's already mine." I held on to the inner marriage so deeply the outer world had no choice but to reflect it. And one day it happened. Not through force, not through charm, but through alignment. She crossed paths with me naturally, effortlessly, as if the universe had orchestrated the entire scene like a perfect symphony. It was never random. It was always law. She was drawn to the man I had already become on the inside. The truth is, you are always being met by who you are internally. You attract not what you want, but what you are. If you carry the energy of being loved, being chosen, being committed to your dream partner cannot resist you. Not because you hunted them down, but because you became the vibration of love itself. So I challenge you, don't wait to be chosen. Choose yourself first. Don't beg for attention. Command it with your presence. Don't live in lack. Live in the fulfillment of already having what your heart desires. Your imagination is not just a place to escape, it's the womb where your future is born. The woman of your dreams, the marriage you long for, the love you deserve, it all starts in the silence, the silenter world. Create there, believe there, and soon you'll be living what others think is a miracle. But you'll know it was never magic. It was always you. Your imagination is not a fantasy. It is the original blueprint of the life you're destined to experience. When I envisioned my dream marriage, I didn't rely on circumstances or timing. I relied on the images I consistently created in my mind. Every morning and night I saw myself already living the life I longed for. I wasn't rehearsing possibilities, I was rehearsing reality. I could feel her presence in the room. I could hear her laugh echo through my soul. The ring on my finger didn't yet exist, but I felt its weight. The conversations hadn't yet happened, but I knew the tone of her voice. That inner world became my daily dwelling place, and slowly, without effort, the outer world began to reflect what I had already accepted inside. You are not waiting on the world is waiting on your vision. The moment you see it clearly, it begins to come alive. This is not wishful thinking. This is the silent law that governs creation. You don't have to move mountains. Just move your mind and the mountains will shift on their own. Love isn't something you chase, it's something you radiate. The person you attract will always mirror the energy you live in. When I began to love myself with the same intensity I wanted from a partner, everything started to change. I stopped asking, when will it happen? And started asking, who do I need to become? I became a man who felt worthy. A man who didn't need validation to feel chosen. I walked with calm confidence, not because she had picked me, but because I had picked myself. I no longer looked for signs outside, I cultivated certainty within. I was no longer a seeker, I was already found. And that vibration became irresistible. People feel what you carry before they hear a single word. They are drawn not to your looks or wealth, but to your inner state. If you believe you are loved, they will believe it too. Love yourself deeply and the world will match your reflection. The mirror can only reflect what stands before it. The secret isn't in effort, it's in identity. I stopped living in the in-between and started living in the end. I no longer hoped she would love me, I knew she already did. That knowing was not arrogance. It was spiritual alignment. I didn't chase signs, I didn't wait for her to notice. I acted and thought like the husband I intended to be. That inner conviction shaped my posture, my speech, my decisions. It created a reality so powerful that the physical world had no choice but to keep up. When you live in the end, you live in peace. You're no longer attached to time. You're not fazed by delay. You trust the unseen more than the seen. You treat your dream as a memory, not a goal. And as you hold to the end, everything in between bends and breaks to bring it to life. The finish line is already within you. Step into it and let time catch up. It wasn't my effort that magnetized love, it was my emotion. Every time I sat in stillness and felt what it would be like to hold her, to laugh with her, to fall asleep beside her, I was creating life. Emotion is the spiritual language of manifestation. Thoughts alone do not move energy, feelings do. I didn't need her physical presence to feel love. I felt it within. And that feeling was more real than any date or text. The more I connected with that inner joy, the more the outer world responded. Your heart is a magnet. It attracts whatever emotion dominates your inner state. Feel the wedding before it happens. Feel the love before it's spoken. When your heart believes it's real, the universe becomes your mirror. Reality doesn't resist what's already emotionally true. Make it true in your soul, and it will become true in your world. I never begged for her attention. I didn't send long messages hoping she'd notice me. I didn't try to force a connection. I built the connection in silence. And that silence was louder than any word I could have spoken. In that quiet space, I aligned with the version of me who was already joined with her. I imagined her beside me. I imagined her choosing me freely, joyfully. And while the outside looked still, my inner world was alive with love. You don't need to make noise to be heard by destiny. When your inner work becomes consistent, the outer world must respond. You're not behind. You're not invisible. You're simply being refined. Don't underestimate the power of spiritual silence. It is not emptiness, it is incubation. Speak less to the world and more to your vision. It will speak back through divine timing. I realized early on that the world doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you believe you are. My outer world was simply reacting to my internal assumptions. If I assumed she was out of my league, she remained distant. If I assumed love was hard to find, it stayed hidden. But when I began assuming I was already chosen, already loved, already aligned, it became true. Not instantly, but undeniably. Life mirrors your certainty. It echoes what you believe behind closed doors. Your assumptions are instructions to reality. Whether they're empowering or limiting, they're always obeyed. So I challenged every belief that said I wasn't enough. I replaced every doubt with divine confidence. And eventually the mirror changed. Not because the world transformed, but because I did. You don't need better luck. You need better assumptions. Upgrade them. And your life will upgrade too. I stopped running. I stopped searching. I started persisting. Every day I committed to the same inner seeing, the same end result. I didn't let my current situation dictate my direction. I let my vision become my compass. The world said it was crazy. My logic said it was pointless. But my spirit said, hold the image. And I did. Through silence, through doubt, through time. I persisted not with force, but with faith. I trusted that my inner work would bloom in season. And one day it did. She appeared not because I chased her, but because I waited with unwavering belief. Chasing creates distance, persistence shortens the gap. The world bows to those who do not waver. You don't need to do more. You need to persist longer in what you've already seen. That's how mountains move and hearts follow. When she finally walked into my life, it looked like magic, but I knew better. It wasn't coincidence. It was the law responding to my clarity. What seemed spontaneous was actually designed. My job was not to force it, but to faithfully construct it within. Most people wait for a miracle. They don't realize they are the miracle. The love you want doesn't need to be chased, it needs to be assumed. Once I took ownership of my inner reality, the outer had no choice but to obey. This wasn't wishful thinking. This was the quiet operation of spiritual law. What you repeat in faith, you will meet in flesh. Don't be fooled by appearances. Don't be discouraged by delay. If you've seen it clearly and felt it deeply, it must unfold. The moment you believe that, you become unstoppable. And soon they will call your life a miracle, but you'll know it was always intentional.